hold up, I am on my way, I'm in motion.
Hey everyone, welcome back. Today I have 5 all new Dollar Tree Christmas DIYs for you guys. If you are new here, welcome to my channel. If you like home decor and DIYs on a budget, make sure to stick around by hitting that subscribe button and ringing the bell for notifications so you never miss out on a new video. All right, now let's get into the DIYs for today. For this DIY, I am going to use one of these project display boards to create a tree collar for the bottom of my tree. So what I'm going to do first is I just measured the length of the project board and it was 26 inches. So I divided it in half and I cut the piece in half, so each piece was 13 inches. And then now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the ends of each piece and line them up, and then I'm just going to use some duct tape that I got from Dollar Tree as well, and I'm just going to go ahead and tape that crease together. And now I've essentially just made a box with an opening on one side so that way you can fit it easily around your tree. Now you can paint your box, you can cover your box with wrapping paper, but I chose to use 3 of these buffalo checked black and white scarves from Dollar Tree. So what I did was I just took one and I laid it out flat and smoothed it out, and I lined it up with the edge of the end of the board, and the tassels are hanging off there, and you can cut those off or you can leave them on. I just left mine on. Once I lined it up with the edge of the board, I just used some hot glue to hot glue it down all the way to the other end of the board and end of the scarf. It does not fit all the way across, unfortunately, so I had to piece another scarf together to get it all the way to the end of the board, and I just cut off a little bit of the first scarf, and then I used the second scarf to piece it together. And then the third whole scarf, I used that for the other side of the board. I lined it up from the first end that I started, and then I overlapped it with the first scarf a little bit, and then I just hot glued it down, again cutting the other side with the fringe off there, and then using that second scarf that I cut in half for the first top part, and I just cut it in half to piece that part together for the bottom half. And then I hot glued that all on, and then I just flipped the board over to the other side, and the leftover piece that hangs off, you can cut that, or I decided to go ahead and fold it over because it gives it more of a nice clean edge. Since the bottom lines up evenly, then the top can too. Then all I did was wrap this around my tree and tucked it in there, and I think it looks so cute. It works perfectly, and this only cost $4 to make. Everything was from Dollar Tree, and again, you could actually cover it with some wrapping paper or paint it, and it would cost even less. So I think this is a perfect, easy, and inexpensive solution to cover the bottom of your tree.
I wanna hang out with my friends and family, making angels in the sanctuary. Doesn't matter, it is Christmas in my heart.
This DIY is super easy. I'm going to use one of these 8x10 canvases from Dollar Tree. I'm just going to remove the canvas material from the frame, and I remove the canvas from the frame by using just a little blade from Dollar Tree. Just want to be careful with it and just score along the edge there, and then you can just pull up the canvas from the staples and then pull off the other side. And then here I'm left with the canvas, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and cut along those creased lines there so that way I have an even piece of canvas, because I'm going to be putting this in my printer. So I just slid it in to my printer, and I printed out this design that I created on canva.com, which I'll leave a link in the description box below for the free printable. And then I am going to go ahead and glue the canvas onto the back of the original canvas frame. You can paint the frame or stain it, whatever you'd like. I just left it plain, but this is such an easy DIY and you can do so many things with it. I just trimmed the excess canvas from the sides and that was it. It makes such a cute little Christmas DIY.
And the rain is pouring. It will always be Christmas in my heart. But this year I wanna hang out with my friends and family, making angels in the sand.
This DIY is also pretty easy. I'm going to use one of these pillars from Dollar Tree, and then I also have one of the make your own snow globes from Dollar Tree. I'm just going to remove the twist off cap from the snow globe, and I'm going to hot glue that to the top of the pillar. You can use E6000 for a stronger hold, and then I'm going to use some high heat black spray paint because that's all I had, but you can use whatever color you'd like to spray paint the pillar with the cap on it. Now I'm going to go ahead and get the snow globe part out, and I'm going to remove that plastic bottom from the snow globe, and I'm going to use these little figurines from Dollar Tree that come with the like village section, and this one had a truck and a little camper with it. I couldn't decide if I wanted to do the red truck or the camper, but then I finally decided to do the little camper because I thought it was a little bit different, and I put a little tree on there and I just hot glued it down to that plastic piece there. Now I'm going to take some of this faux snow from Dollar Tree and I'm going to fill the snow globe up with it. And actually you only need like a teaspoonful of this snow. A little bit goes a long way. So I had to remove a little bit and put a little bit back in to kind of get the right amount, and then I just twisted it on to the base. And then just to add a little bit of something extra and to go with my theme this year, which is the black and white buffalo check, I used these little bows from Dollar Tree, and that was it.
We'll be chilling and having a good time. Doesn't matter if the snow is falling or the wind blows and the rain is pouring. It will always be Christmas in.
For this DIY, I wanted to try a technique out that I saw on TikTok. So I'm going to use one of these wooden boards from Dollar Tree that you find in the craft section. And I am also going to use this really cute Christmas tissue paper. So for the board, I am going to use the Christmas tree one. And I am simply just going to Mod Podge the Christmas tree tissue paper down to the board. So I just cut it down a little bit so that way I wouldn't have so much excess tissue paper. And then I got my Mod Podge out, which I actually got at Dollar Tree. They sell little bottles of matte Mod Podge. And I'm just going to add a pretty generous amount on, but not too much. And then I'm just going to apply my tissue paper, trying to get all the wrinkles out. It's a little bit hard, but in the end, you can't really see it, so it's not too bad. And then I did do along the edges as well to make sure everything was covered, and I cut some more of the excess paper. Now this is the part that I saw on TikTok when somebody Mod Podged a napkin or something to a piece of wood. They used a lighter and lit the edge of that excess paper on fire to get rid of it, and it actually works really well. You just want to be really careful because you are working with fire, but it burns all the way around. I only had to light it a couple times, and then I just cleaned up the edges there, and it worked really good to get that excess paper off. So I wanted to add a little bit of something else to this sign. So I had this Merry sign with the little reindeer at the end for the Y. So what I'm going to do is I am going to paint the M-E and the two R's with some black chalk paint, and then also the edges all around the sign, including the reindeer, with the black chalk paint as well. So I'm just going to leave the top of the deer unpainted so that way I can Mod Podge over that and make that deer stand out. Again, you can use whatever color you would like to paint this. Once I got that finished and it dried, I got out the plaid tissue paper from that pack, just a piece of it, and I cut it down to size. And I did the same thing as I did with the sign. I did have to because the reindeer was a little off because of the R and everything, it's a little funky, so I kind of just Mod Podged it a little bit sideways, if you can see there. And then I burnt the edges off, and it was so satisfying. It looks so cool, and it worked so fast. And then I just took the lighter around the little detail parts on the antlers. And then I came back with a little bit of that black chalk paint to clean up the edges and to fill in some of the areas that I missed there. And then after everything was set up, I just went ahead and hot glued the Merry sign down to the Christmas tree sign. And then I took the hanger from the Merry sign, and I actually went ahead and made a hanger for this whole sign with that. So I just hot glued the piece of the string to the back of the board. And then I took some beads, this is just a little bit extra, but these came from Amazon. I'll leave them linked down below in the description box. And I just strung them on the twine. And then I hot glued the other side to the back of the piece. And I used a little bit of ribbon to secure it down. And that was it. For this DIY, I'm going to be using 4 of the 8x10 canvases from Dollar Tree, and I'm just going to remove the canvases from the frames, just like I removed the canvas from the frame earlier on in this video, but I'm going to do that to all 4 of the frames, and I'm not going to use the canvas material for this particular DIY, so I'm just going to be left with the frames itself. And what I'm going to do is I am just going to glue these together to create a box, because I'm going to be making a lighted gift box out of this. So once they are all glued together, I'm going to go ahead and spray paint that black. And again, you can spray paint it whatever color you want, and you can use whatever mesh material you would like, but I picked up this buffalo checked mesh material from Dollar Tree. I got 2 rolls of it, and I'm going to start off on one corner, and I just use my staple gun to staple the mesh down, and then I'm going to wrap all the way around the box. And then as I'm wrapping, I'm twisting the mesh a little bit, so that way it gives it more of dimension instead of just being straight as I'm wrapping it. And then I got almost all the way done with the box, but I wanted to kind of fill it in, so I did use the second roll of mesh to finish it off. And then again, I just used my staple gun to staple the mesh down. Now for the top of the box, I'm just going to take some more of that mesh, but I'm going to lay it out flat and cut it to size. And then I used my staple gun to staple it down on each side that it touched the frames, and then I tucked in the excess if it wasn't too much. And then I cut another piece and I put that on the other side, kind of overlapping with the other piece that I had already stapled down, and then tucking those sides in and cutting off the excess mesh where I needed to. Now I'm going to go ahead and embellish this box to make it look more like a gift. So I picked up some white ribbon from Dollar Tree, and I just wrapped it around the box like I would a real gift, and then hot glued the ribbon at the top there to hold it together. And the ribbon perfectly covered up the seam at the top where those 2 pieces of mesh met, so that was perfect. And then I just used one of these floral clip-on picks and glued that down there in the middle. I also added one of these wooden gift tags that came from the Target dollar spot bin. Now I'm going to add the lights. I'm going to add 2 packs of the 20 count white lights from Dollar Tree. You could add the colored ones if you'd like. I just unraveled them, and I always cut the tags off of my cords I don't know, it's just a pet peeve. I don't like the tags hanging out. And then instead of just throwing them in the box, I did kind of place them in the box a little bit, like zigzag them and hot glue the lights down to the frame so that way they were more even. And I think this turned out so pretty for Christmas.
We'll be chilling and having a good time. Doesn't matter if the snow is falling or the wind blows and the rain is pouring. It will always be Christmas in my...
All right, that is it for this video. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Make sure to give it a thumbs up, and I will see you guys in the next one. Happy holidays. Bye-bye.